After the massive success of the 308 GTB and GTS series, Enzo didn't want to jeopardize his bestseller, and I don't think that the world was ready to let go of Pininfarina's head of design, Leonardo Fioravanti's masterpiece. So in 1985, its evolution simply came under the name of the Ferrari 328, GTB and GTS. The tubular chassis wheelbase was now 1 cm or 2/5 of an inch longer and was fitted with all-around independent suspension and ventilated disc brakes. As in the previous 308 series, the 328 GTB and GTS pop-up headlights were of a single round unit, but sadly the louvered air vents placed at the extension of the headlamps disappeared. Those vents were now replaced by a body color matched 7 louver wide air vent on the hood between the headlamps, which also was an update from the thinner 4 louver vent unit installed on the 308 Quattrovalve. The nose had a redesigned and encased bumper with rounded soft edges that were now finished in a matching color body paint. This treatment was also executed at the rear, giving a definite update and a fresh look to our Ferrari 328. The much larger and flat front turning signal and parking light clusters were maybe the only downfall in the 328's design. These new turning signal cluster were now incorporated under the bumper at each side of the egg crate grille, with a black front spoiler lip underneath it. For the American market, a rectangular side light marker could be found on each fender, unlike the small round turning signal unit found on the European 328's front fenders. As on the 308 and the Little Dinos, the conical shaped air intake starting from the door and ending on the rear fenders remain on the 328. These air intakes channeled fresh air into the engine bay and were a real treat for the eyes, as were the flying rear buttresses with the vertical rear panoramic window. The rear engine bay lid had a new U-shaped black louvered air vent that started by the rear window. Once the engine lid opened, a luggage compartment sealed by a zipper was found between the taillights and the engine bay, like in the previous 308s. The trunk ended up in a rear spoiler lip, while the 2 round taillight clusters were slightly encased in the truncated cam tail. Just underneath, a new slicker bumper, 4 exhaust pipes proudly show their tips. This refreshing and successful restyle design was maybe the best of the 308 and 328 series, especially with its cleaner edges and its new 5-spoke 16-inch alloy wheel set with a 225mm wide tire at the back. This filled up the wheel arches more harmoniously than on the 308 with its previous 205mm rear tires. From the start, the GTS was available alongside the GTB, and its removable targa top could be lodged behind the seats as it did on the 308. The GTS top could be ordered with a matching body color paint, a finish also seen on the optional top rear window wing spoiler. The interior was also updated with the same tall binacle, but now it received a black background treatment with orange numberings. At the center of the dash, 3 auxiliary dials were aligned horizontally like in the majestic 288 GTO. The interior panels were redesigned and the dual-level center tunnel console now sadly housed some Fiat switches, while the 5-speed dogleg transmission gear lever still had an open metal gate. The Bosch-injected dual-cam 32-valve V8 was still transversely mounted in front of the rear axle. It was enlarged to 3.2-liter or 194 cubic inch, making a solid 270 horsepower at 7,000 RPM in Europe and 260 horsepower at the same RPM in US. Performance was good even for the North American models, which weighed an average of 353 pounds or 160 kg more than the European counterparts. The Ferrari 328 could sprint to 60 miles per hour in 5.5 seconds with a top speed of 161 miles per hour or 259 km per hour for the European models, while 153 miles per hour or 246 km per hour with 5.7 seconds to get to 60 miles per hour for the US 328s was almost identical. The only major change for the Ferrari 328 series came the last year of production in 1989. With ABS offered as standard. This last ABS model were fitted with convex 5-spoke wheels instead of the more appealing concave units. An Italian turbo version of the 328, officially named the GTB or GTS Turbo, was introduced for the Italian market only between 1986 and 1989 due to Italy's high taxation bracket on engines over 2 liter or 122 cubic inch. With 121 cubic inch, it did just that, developing 254 horsepower at 6,500 RPM instead of the 220 horsepower found on the previous 208 turbo based on the 308. The new turbo finally matched America's 308's performance. Externally, a few differences could be spotted on the turbo cars, with the NACA air intake on the lower rear fender panel and the rear engine lead changed to allow the intercooler to fit properly, while the rear advanced to dissipate heat generated by the engine. In all, 7,412 Ferrari 328 GTS and GTB were produced in only 4 years, with 5 times the amount of Spiders sold over the Berlinetta versions, while 1,136 Ferrari GTS and GTB turbos found happy Italian owners. This ended 14 short years of Leonardo Fiorovanti's fantastic design.